Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Open your mind and let go of the fears of midlife and aging. Some people see midlife as a time of stress and overwhelm, but we're not going to do that. We see midlife as an opportunity for continued learning and growth. Life's a journey, not a destination. It's a continual process and can get better all the time. And the best part, you can write your own rules. So in each Midlife Magic episode, we're going to have conversations with interesting and cool people that will give you the inspiration and know-how on how to live your best life. Are you ready? Let's go. Before I jump into the intro for this week's episode, I wanted to share something that's been brewing within me for quite some time now. When I began podcasting, I wanted to focus on talk therapy topics and issues, yet I'm also really passionate about another topic, and that's helping women live their best lives as they move into midlife. You may or may not know this about me, but when I hit 40, that's when I made the decision to start living my life differently. So for the past 7 years, I've worked really hard to live more authentically and congruently. And now I want to start bringing this information to the podcast. I'm lining up guests that will not only inspire you to see midlife differently, but will also bring you the know-how to do so. I'm unsure yet if I will start a whole new podcast or rebrand this one, because podcasts are a lot of work and it's just me right now behind the scenes. Well, except for Laura, my audio engineer and editor, and Mike, my website developer. So creating and producing 2 separate shows feels really overwhelming, yet also at the same time, it feels possible. So right now, I'm just hanging out in the land of possibilities, and I hope you stay tuned to see and hear the upcoming shifts in my podcast world. And here's my very first shift, and I'm so excited to share this week's episode with you all. It is the first Midlife Magic podcast episode. I titled it Strength at Any Age with Dani Shugart for a few reasons. Number one, I truly believe that you can acquire strength at any age. And while in this episode we are talking about strength gained in the weight room, we're also talking about how finding the weight room has given both of us self-confidence and physical and mental strength. 2 things my guests and I were both looking for in our younger years, and finding the weights helped us tremendously in these areas. Number 2, y'all, research has shown that it gives us incredible benefits when we build muscle. It can improve our balance, reduce the likelihoods of falls, improve blood sugar control, improve our sleep and mental health. Did you know the average person starts losing muscle as early as 25? Yeah. And from 40 to 70 years old, muscle loss averages 8% per decade and then accelerates to 15% after age 70. Our eventual physical decline is inevitable, but the more muscle we have when our bodies start rapidly breaking down, the longer we can last with our physical function. I often get asked why I'm so crazy about telling people to hit the weight room. It's not because I want to look good naked. That's a byproduct of wanting to increase my confidence and put off my physical decline as long as possible. I want longevity and quality of life. And when I decided I wanted to talk about this on my very first episode of Midlife Magic, I headed straight to my friend Dani Shugart. Dani is an editor for tnation.com, a lifetime natural lifter, and co-host of the Fit Pants podcast. She shares her story on finding the weight room, how progress in the weight room has built her confidence, why consistency and accountability are keys to reaching your goals, how to get into fitness if you're brand new, as well as how to get back into fitness if you've fallen out. Plus, we talk about tips for growing muscle in midlife, why assessing your efforts for effectiveness is important, and reassessing your efforts if it's not getting you to your goals. We hope you enjoy this episode. So welcome to Midlife Magic, Dani. I'm super excited to have you here. Thanks for coming on to the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah. So you and I connected, gosh, it seems like I feel like I've known you much longer than I have, just a couple, like 2 weeks ago. And I reached out to you and I've just been following you for a long time and really love how you present the world of strength and fitness, the truth about it. Like you and your husband, Chris, just kind of cut to the chase of what's real and what isn't and have fun in the process. So I wanted to definitely have you on the show. Like you were the first one that came to mind when I thought about strength at any age. And
Aw,
yeah, no, I'm
thank you so much. That's so nice. Thank you so much for those compliments.
oh, you're welcome. And I promise I'm not just saying that. So I know who you are. I know you pretty well because I've been following you for some time. But could you share with our listeners like who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm an editor for Testosterone Nation, which
Mm.
is tnation.com. And I have a podcast with my husband called the Fit Pants Podcast, where we try to, talk about kind of the lighter side, the funner side of fitness and what it means in a marriage, and just a lot of things that have to do with diet and exercise and just living a fit lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much it. I'm a dog lover and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And how long have you been with T Nation?
Well, I have been editing for T Nation for like 5 years, but my husband, Chris, has been with T Nation for like 20 years.
Wow.
And so we met and got married exactly 10 years ago is when we got married. It's kind of cool. But yeah, he's been working for them for a long time. And then I've fallen in love with the company since then because I knew that it's just a bunch of different voices, like T Nation is not just one person saying this is how it is.
Right.
It's a lot of different people showing what they know and what they've discovered and their perspectives. And then you get to pick and choose who you kind of align with or who resonates the most with you. And so I love everything about tnation.com.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I totally get that too, when I get on the website. So for those of you who don't know, because a lot of my listeners may not know what the heck T Nation is. So T Nation is just the website where you can go and you can learn all about fitness and nutrition and bodybuilding and strength training and diet, lifestyle, opinions even. I'm just trying to think what else you guys cover on T Nation.
Yeah, I think you got
Okay.
Yeah, anything that has to do with building muscle, building strength, or building a stronger mindset.
Yeah.
That's basically what's talked about there. And there are people who write for us who are like doctors and people who write for us who are pro bodybuilders. And so it's just a diverse set of opinions that you can read.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really curious. Like, I know you've been in the gym or the weight room for many years now. How did you first discover your love for strength and building muscle?
Well, as a kid, as a teenager, I was a wallflower. I was really shy and I was kind of chubby. And I took a weight training class, a level up from PE. And I just fell in love with seeing the progress, being able to squat more weight on a bar every single week was just awesome. And my coach at that time, the weight training coach, was the football coach. And so I trained with a handful of really hardcore girls and a lot of guys in there too. And the guys would treat me like equals, and the coaches would treat me the same ways that they would treat the boys. And they had high expectations for me. And so whenever coaches do that, you live up to those expectations. And that was just really cool to see that progress. And then I found a bodybuilding coach who would help me lift after school hours. And he would have us kids come in from 6 to 9 p.m. and we would work our butts off. I mean, we had body part splits and all that stuff. And it was really cool to see, muscle actually growing on a teenage body. And it was crazy that I was getting leaner by building muscle. I mean, I didn't understand what was happening at the time, but I knew that my body was changing and I liked that, it made me come out of my shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that what you just said right there was you didn't know how building muscle would help you get leaner.
I had no idea. Yeah. So weird.
It is weird. I totally get that. And I think for a lot of my listeners, I've been saying it forever to people when they say, well, how do I get in shape and lose the baby weight or a midlife spread? Like, how do I do that? I'm like, are you in the gym lifting weights? And there's a host of reasons why not. And I can understand those reasons for sure. Did you ever have those thoughts like I'm going to get bulky or I'm going to lose my curves or anything like that as you got started?
At that time, I was just going from being chubby. I was like, if I can add muscle, I don't care if this makes me quote unquote bigger because I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And just I think at first focusing on just the progress and not so much on what you look like
Mhm.
is more satisfying, and that'll keep you in the game a little bit longer. But then as you go, you'll notice, oh my gosh, I am looking better. What the
Right.
heck? You know?
Right. Yeah.
So like just I think actually focusing on performance at first might have been the blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So, and then, learning about bodybuilding and how certain ways of training can lead to hypertrophy, muscle growth,
Yeah.
and how muscle growth can change the look of your body is pretty cool too. But I think that focus on just performance at first was really motivating.
Yeah.
So, ironically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you talk about progress being what kept you going, not so much, having to see that shift in the mirror, because it's like when you work on something and you're challenging yourself, every time you go back in, it's like your confidence starts to grow. Did you notice that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And I think the thing about getting progress that quickly is that there's a level of accountability there.
Mhm.
I mean, I was lucky enough to do that in high school when there were coaches and there was a class scheduled that said, you have to go at this time
Yeah.
every single day, whether you want to or not. And it was just kind of neat because it became like I don't know, that accountability was built in. Now, I think it's going to be harder for those who didn't have that benefit, like of having someone a time of day where you had to be there, whether you liked it or not, and like developing that self-discipline to go.
Mhm.
But I think it's still very possible and necessary. And have you gone through times? I mean, I have, where for whatever reason, life got in the way, and there was a period of time when I could not go to the gym.
Mhm.
And then getting back into it was tough, because you have to set up that accountability in
Yep.
order to see that progress. And you have to set up that regularity, that consistency in order to see that progress. And so at the time back then, it was built in, it
Yep.
was a little bit easier. So
Yep.
now as adults, when you're out of that scenario, you kind of have to figure out what it is that motivates you and what it is that keeps you consistent.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear you loud and clear on that. My experience was a little similar in the sense of I had the accountability partner who,
Mhm.
my boyfriend, who's now my husband at the time, when I met him, I knew I wanted to get back into the gym and really learn how to use the weights. And because grew up not having a sport, and I didn't really have an interest of being active or in a sport. And I felt like as I got older, just you get more and more away from that. Like if you don't grow up with that ingrained, like I'm on a soccer team or I play softball. I just knew I had to do something because I just didn't want to end up. And I had reasons for that, wanting to get in shape and health. And there was some genetic stuff in our family. I didn't want to get diabetes. I didn't want to end up in a place where I was putting myself at a higher risk for getting something that I knew was controllable, right?
Right.
So going to the gym for me was like, well, let me see if I like this. And
Yeah.
I did, and I liked it. And then I met Billy, and he was like, well, I'm a personal trainer, and you want to go to the gym together? And I was like, awesome. I got this free personal trainer, and he's really cute. So here we are 20 some years later. And it's just,
Aw.
but it's interesting that we parallel that. We had the accountability, we had
Mhm.
someone to show us how to do it, and we had consistency of action. And I think that once you get those things down, you either just keep going. And like you said, you have times in your life when stuff happens and you can't get to the gym or, whatever, I totally understand that. And I've had those times as well. But it's knowing the self-confidence that it helps me grow, the self-esteem it helps me build, the walking taller in my skin, that I love the gym. And I just wish I could instill that or give that to every woman who reaches out to me, midlife and says, I don't like what I'm seeing in the mirror. I'm not happy. And, I
Oh.
just wish there was like, I wish I could just like infuse that into them.
Yeah. Well, and there's a way I think that maybe, it's okay if you don't want to go to the gym and navigate it by yourself, because there are different ways to get involved and get active and start experience resistance training, and you don't have to go it alone. And that's the cool thing about it,
Yeah.
because there are so many places where you can go and either hire a trainer but I mean, that's also, there's some difficulty with that too, because you don't know who's going to get you under the weight or not,
Mhm.
but there's that route, which is an excellent route. And then the other route is group fitness. Actually, I feel like that's often a gateway
Yeah.
to learning how to do your own programming in the
Yeah.
gym. You got to start somewhere,
Right. Right. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to start somewhere. Whatever that, like you said, the gateway, like we were talking, like the gateway drug to getting in the
Yes.
weight room. It's oftentimes like, it's often like, I think you said Les Mills classes. You really got a lot
Yes.
out of those. For some women, it's like boot camp.
Hmm.
And then it can lead to, CrossFit. I know a lot of people just
Oh, yeah.
love CrossFit. But I do talk to a lot of women who like the boot camps. And the boot camps, they like the camaraderie, the community, the accountability. So I totally agree. I think it's, finding that something that's going to give you some resistance and some strength training and it's going to like keep you going. I love that. I think that's so wise.
Yeah. And if you make those connections with the people in those classes or the coaches. So, one of the times when I kind of fell out of fitness, I felt like I was like, I know that I know how to lift, but it's just been too long. So it was like right after college, I got this job as a TV news producer in Texas. But it was like the morning news, and I had to get up in the wee hours of the morning in order to get dressed and ready and look presentable and get there in order to produce the morning news. And I mean, it messed with my circadian rhythm so much
Mm.
that I stopped training. I stopped working out because I was like, I don't know how to do this. I can't, I'm not awake when I'm supposed to be awake. I'm not really awake. And I'm not really sleeping well when I'm supposed to be asleep. So it was just kind of a nightmare fitness wise. But as soon as
Mhm.
that job kind of transitioned into, normal times, I was able to get a gym membership. And when I did, the first thing I did was I signed up for group fitness classes. And one of those was Les Mills body pump, and if I had known about CrossFit then at the time, I probably would have joined CrossFit, but it was cool. And it was awesome because I befriended the trainer there and she became my best friend. And she would work out with me on off hours and we would run together and we would do all these other classes together. And it was like, because I made that connection, because I made those social connections and got involved with other people who were active, it motivated me to be as active as them. So their level of commitment to fitness rubbed off on me. And I
Yeah.
really think that that's kind of key. I mean, if you want to get fit, hang out with other fit people, hang out with people who that's important to.
Right.
And it will, those kind of, I don't want to say values, but what people hold valuable to them, it will kind of rub off on other people.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I think that's really cool. I definitely see that in my circle, who I hang out with, and I've experienced that too. And I was going to ask you about your current training program. Like,
Yeah.
you're not a trainer, right? Like, you're not a personal
No.
trainer.
Uh-uh.
Okay. So how do you do your programs these days? Do you write them? Do you have a
Yeah.
trainer? How does that work for you?
So I love writing my workouts. It's so much fun. I think of them as kind of playful, but at the same time hard as hell. But depending on what I kind of base my workouts around my infradian rhythm. So your infradian rhythm is your 28-day cycle. And I've noticed that for me, I do best when I deload a little bit right before and during my period. And I know that's kind of gross to get into, but like my
Makes sense.
energy level is just low.
Yeah.
Like I can handle less and my
Hmm.
performance is not as good when I try to push it really hard during those times. So I do push it hard during the other weeks of this
Hmm.
cycle. And so knowing this, I'm able to schedule my workouts a little bit heavier, a little bit harder, a little bit more intense with a little bit more volume during the times when my body says, yes, green light, go. And then during the other weeks, I really loosen up, or not loosen, but lighten up on the volume. And I take a lot more rest in between sets and
Hmm.
I go a little bit easier. But I still try to inch my way up and weight, but not push it with the intensity or the volume. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
But
That's cool. That's interesting.
yeah, but basically right now my workout is just an upper body, lower body split. And I'll do like upper body on Monday, lower body Tuesday, upper body Thursday, lower body Friday. And so I take 3 days off, just work out 4 days a week. And every single day of the week, though, Chris and I take our dogs for a walk twice a day. So lots of walking.
Yeah, yeah, you're getting lots of movement, but you don't do any more cardio than that. It sounds like it.
Well, I do like Metcon stuff within my workouts. So I will push it really hard in a lot of different ways. And, there are times when I just feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
It's fun. For me, it's fun. I love that type of challenge. Like I'll pair 2 exercises together and give myself a time cap and see how much work I can do in a specific amount of time. So I'm stealing from a lot of different people who've coached me. I'm stealing from my trainers of the past, and I'm also stealing a little bit from CrossFit, and I'm stealing a little bit from my bodybuilding competition coaches, and I'm stealing a lot from tnation.com. And so it's like what I've created is just this monster that makes me addicted to the gym.
That's really cool. I love how you have put together your own workouts, and it's working for you. I think that's great. Yeah. So, I know that a lot of women in midlife decide that, okay, well, now it's time. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to work on my body. And what I find or what I hear is that, and I experienced it too, probably in my early 40s, my capacity for going hard is just not what it was in my 30s. And I'm thinking hormones are shifting, stressors are changing, and so going hard all the time isn't always the best way to approach it. And I've kind of had to learn that lesson over the years myself. So when I hear you say like Metcon, and what I picture is, my friend once said, you almost want to feel like you're having an asthma attack. That's how you know you're in it. And I was just like, oh, that at 47, that just makes me want to just not even go to the gym anymore. But
yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking, do you have any thoughts on for women middle age who say, well, I'd like to grow some muscle, but Dani, gosh, that kind of freaks me out just a little bit. What would you do different if that was you, I guess is my question.
Yeah. So I don't actually think it's necessary to feel like you're dying. I enjoy that.
You like it.
And there's going to be a time in my life when I don't, and I will be glad to graduate from that, Right. So it's definitely not necessary to do that to yourself at all. And you can experience hypertrophy without going there, Yeah. So in fact, my first bodybuilding coach, he never put me in a state where I was like dying, he never did that to me. And I felt like as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, I grew a significant amount of muscle for a teenager, for a teenage natural girl. Mm-hmm. And so what he would do is just make sure that I was feeling the muscle that I was intentionally trying to work. And, that's called a mind muscle connection. So he would have me focus on that, but he would have me do a little bit higher reps for every set. And he would have me do 3 to 4 sets of every exercise. But I think the main thing was just focusing on feeling the muscle and contracting that muscle, squeezing it, and kind of getting that burning sensation where you're trying to build that muscle. And so it's not absolutely necessary to be completely knocked out. And I don't do that to myself all the time. That's just like, I consider that kind of a condiment in my in my training. But I do enjoy the intensity and the supersets. And I certainly leave those out when it's right around PMS time, because I feel like my body's just telling me, take it easy,
Yeah. No, I hear you too. I'm with you. I listen to my body so much better now than I did in my early 30s and 20s. I mean, I just listen to it, and I don't beat myself up about it if I decide, today I'm just going to go for a walk. And I find my results I don't want to say come quicker, but my results come better, and I had this experience over COVID-19, and I was chatting with another friend who's in her 40s as well. And she's very fit, and she's a trainer. And she was talking about how she's actually lost some body fat, and she's not working out any more than she was. She realized that her stress level had gone down. She was getting better sleep. She didn't have to run her kids all over the planet like she was doing prior. And I was like, I think that's happened to me too, because I hadn't really, was starting to work out at home again. I wasn't not necessarily going any heavier. I was just probably doing things that I like to do. Well, I was walking more just to get out of the house and get some fresh air because it was spring here and it was gorgeous. But, I think that's really interesting how stress and the busyness of our lives kind of can impact our physique. Like I never really thought about that until this happened.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it because I think during periods of time, during periods of my life when I've been pushing it the hardest, a lot of those times I've gotten kind of puffy, bigger,
Mm,
weirdly.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then during the periods of time when I've like relaxed and toned down the volume, toned down the intensity, it's like, what the heck? Why am I leaner now than I was then? So, you're right. And I think it definitely, not definitely, I believe that it has something to do with stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such an interesting phenomenon. So, absolutely, I don't think that metabolic conditioning to the point where you feel like you're going to die, I don't think that that's beneficial for most people, and certainly not all the time. You know, so that might be more of a detriment than it is something
Well,
helping.
I think there's definitely a time and a place for it.
Mhm.
I know in the past I have used it as like a finisher when I just kind of didn't,
Yeah.
you just want to push yourself and see what you're made of. I mean, there's that competitive side that, I definitely have as well. So I think there's definitely a time and a place for it, but I don't think it's like you said, you're not doing it every day, every workout. It's just something that you enjoy. And I think that's really important is that if you enjoy it, then you keep doing it for sure. I mean, if you love it, you can text me afterwards and tell me how much you loved it, and I'll cheer for you over here. This episode of the Midlife Magic Podcast is sponsored by my favorite fitness apparel, Zaya Active. I discovered Zaya Active when I went looking for high quality and premium workout clothes, just like those luxury store and catalog brands, yet I wanted a budget friendlier price tag. I love this brand because I live a very active lifestyle. I work out about 5 days a week, plus I love to go for runs and long walks, which I consider to be my very important self-care and podcast listening time. The clothes stay put, I'm not constantly pulling on my leggings or tugging on my sports bras, and they accentuate me in all the right places. And when I work from home, they are the perfect clothes for being comfortable and still stylish. And I can transition to running out the door to pick up our girls or run errands while still looking put together in my athleisure styles. My favorite workout leggings are the Lighten Tights, and my favorite everyday wear are the Everywhere pants. Yes, I literally wear them everywhere, every day. I can even wear them to business meetings or client consultations, and I can dress them up or down easily. Want to learn more? Head over to lisamustard.com and click on the Activewear page. You can learn all about Zaya Active, the mission, the clothes, and see if they are a fit for you and your active life. From weight training to running to Zumba to yoga to CrossFit to bar to walking to tennis, Zaya Active has you covered. And don't forget about the active men in your life. They have an amazing men's line, plus clothes for active kids too. That's Zaya like papaya active. So see my site for all the details. That's lisamustard.com/active-wear.
Well, and it's like maybe, I don't know, I'm always going through a period of like rethinking things. And I think we should, to just be conscientious, just to be aware of like whether things are working for you, because we should always be assessing what we're doing and aware of it. Like, is this working for me right now? Maybe this worked for me previously, but is it working for me now? And then if I try it again
Right.
later, could it be working for me in that season? Because things
Yeah.
will work for us at different periods of time and not work for us at different periods of time. Just like things work for some people and not for all of us, I do believe that different seasons of our lives can also facilitate those differences.
Oh, completely. Yes, I hear you loud and clear. And I think that's so wise. I'm so glad you said that because I have found that many times over the years of going to the gym and working out. And if you hit that wall or it's not working anymore,
Yeah.
then reevaluate what you're doing and take a step back and say, how is this serving me any capacity. Now, if you love it and you're having fun and that's your priority number one, then keep doing it. But if you have another goal outside of
Yeah.
that and you're not, and that happened to me after having my last child, I just couldn't shake the baby weight. Like I couldn't
Oh,
lose it to
yeah.
save my life. But really what it came down to was my nutrition was kind of like my calorie intake was too high for what I was doing.
Mm.
And it didn't really click until Billy was like, look, I think this is the problem. You need to get back in the gym, stop running so much. Cause I thought if I just run X amount of miles every week, then I'll get back to where I was. And it didn't work at all. Like it
Oh,
was
yeah.
the opposite effect. So I understand like too much of a good thing is puffier
Yes.
or, you're holding on to the weight. And so it was hard to give it up because I enjoyed it. And it was a way to
Yeah.
like, have time for myself. But I realized what he was saying was the goal that you have, that's not the path to it. So that's when we sat down and he was like, let me write you a plan. Let's look at your nutrition and, really figure out what's going on.
You are such a good
And
wife to listen to him when he said that to you, because mine said the same thing to me. And I was like, no, I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong.
yeah. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I pushed him away for a very long time. Like when it came to all this, he was just like, you know what you need to do. I'm like, shut up, I know what I'm doing, But I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but my experience was I just had the breakdown. One day I just was like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I just went to him. I was like, I'm doing all this running and I'm tracking all my meals and my macros. I don't understand. And I was so frustrated that I hit a bottom, I hit a bottom and I was like, okay, I'll listen to you finally. So don't think I didn't try that for a long time because I did, but I finally hit that bottom.
Yeah.
I think you have to hit your bottom to make a decision that when something's not working, but you feel like it's going to keep working, it's the definition of insanity,
Yeah.
right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's what I was doing. And it was maddening. And I wanted off of that mindset, but I was fearful of stopping because at least I knew what this was going to give me. So, but I finally got tired of it and hit the bottom and I said, all right, I'll listen to you. So I'm lucky that he actually said, he didn't like go, I told you so, but he's a good guy. But, I am lucky to have a husband who is into fitness and who is into health and accountability and
Yes.
challenging. So, and it sounds like Chris is similar.
Exactly. Well, it took an injury for me to stop running, like
Oh,
tons of,
really?
yeah. Yeah. And we never figured it out. I mean, I went to a physical therapist, I went to chiropractors and all those people who are supposed to figure those things out. And they just, the only solution was stop running. So
Yeah, right.
stop running, get in the gym, do some weight training. And that kind of fixed, I mean, I had a thing behind my knee that it was like a
Oh,
popliteal, some type of injury, but
uh-huh.
I mean, it was devastating to stop running. And it was so frustrating because I thought that was what was making me as lean as I was, even though I wasn't lean at all. And it was actually preventing me from losing weight. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a different season, I
Yeah,
think when you're
right.
really into fitness, you go through these periods of time when you think things are going to work or when you try different things. And the key is
Mhm.
just keep trying until you figure out what does work and then keep
Yeah,
reassessing as you go.
yeah.
Is this still working for me?
Yeah, I love that message. That's a great message. It kind of reminds me of when I'm at my gym and I've been going to this gym now for like 3 years. And I look around the gym and I'm seeing the same faces after 3 years and their bodies haven't changed like at all. And it's interesting because I'll have some women come up to me and say, I see you here. I see you're consistent. You have what the physique that I'm trying so hard to get. And I'm
Aw.
like, and it's really
Yeah,
complimentary.
yeah.
Like I'm so like humbled by that. And I'm just going around doing my thing. I love lifting weights and that's what I do. I don't just doing my thing, smiling at people. And I said, well, tell me about your workouts. And then they're like, well, I come here and I get in the Peloton and then I do 2 days a week of full body, but I'm doing like this and this. And I said, well, yeah, it's like, how do you tell somebody that's not going to get them the results that they want
Oh,
after 3 years? And they come over and they go, oh, I really, really love to have what you do, which you have. And I just say, well, you should talk to this trainer over there. That's who I would highly recommend.
yeah,
That's what I do.
right.
I, so I might be selling some personal training sessions at the gym. I don't know, but I almost feel like I do want to be a role model for other women. Like, don't be afraid of the weights. Get in there, challenge yourself, push yourself, because it does so much grow other areas of your life.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen to that, for sure.
Amen, sister. I'm so glad that we're doing this. This has just been great. Okay, can we shift just a little bit? I have some other fun questions I want to ask you.
Yes.
Well, first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your show, your podcast? Because how long have you guys been doing it now?
Oh, not very long. So we started at the end of September of 2019. So we're still kind of babies with it. We're still figuring out the best way to do it. But we started last year and we're on episode right now 35 or 6. We're working on 36. So yeah. And it's just about fitness, and we're not sure. We're kind of like feeling what is the metaphor there?
Just testing the water.
Testing the waters. That's the
one. Okay.
Yes, we're trying to figure out like how hardcore fitness do we go? Like, do we go deep with it, or do we stay kind of shallow for the people who just want to dabble in the idea of fitness but don't really want to know the deeper stuff? Or do we stay kind of more like pop culture-y, fitness-ish? And I don't know. So we're trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. But it's fun. We're just having a good time with it too.
Yeah, I think I just love listening to you guys have fun. I think that's what I enjoy the most. So you could talk about any of those things. And, being that I'm so interested in fitness and strength and training, I would listen to it. If you stay with where you guys are right now, or if you went a little bit deeper, I'm excited for you, because I know that it's only going to take off, and it's just a really fun podcast. Yeah, no, it's really fun. And it's one podcast that my husband and I can listen to together. So I'm so glad you guys... I know. And that's how we found you, actually. It was just like in the car, we were driving somewhere, and he's like, well, let's listen to a podcast. And I was like, oh gosh, what are we going to listen to together? And he said, well, look up Christian Thibodeau, because you and I both, like him. And so I just like typed his name into Apple Podcasts, and then your episode with him popped up, and I was like, oh, hey, Dani Shugart, I know who she is. And so that's how we found you. And I've just been listening. You're just such a breath of fresh air as we go through this pandemic and what's going on in the world. It's just a fun way to like feel connected to other people who enjoy this lifestyle. So thanks for doing it.
It means so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, gosh. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's the best.
I can't give it enough ratings. You're going to have like 1,000 ratings from some random chick. Let's keep changing my name on there, but it really is good. And I hope if you guys are listening and you're into fitness and strength, that you will check out Fit Pants, because it's super, super fun.
Aw, that means so much to us.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. So my question is, what recent product or service have you purchased that's $50 or less that has like rocked your world?
Oh, okay. $50 or less. Oh, fitness product or service? Or is it
anything? It can be anything that you just are loving right now. It doesn't have to be fitness. It can be anything.
Oh, okay. Well, what I need to purchase, I guess that might be more. But what I'm really needing right now is like a Theragun. Do you know what those are?
Yes, we have one.
Are those under $50? Because I need one.
No.
No. Okay. So
no.
Okay. So that's over $50.
But if I were to ask the question over $50, I totally recommend that.
Okay. Because I am going I felt like a kid in the candy shop going back to the gym, and I feel like I need something to like loosen up my back. My poor back muscles are just like tired and needing some therapy. But let's see. I'm obsessed with this dark chocolate called Taza dark chocolate. Ooh. And it's so crazy good. It's called Taza, but my husband brought home one type of it that was like 75% dark chocolate, and then one was 90% dark chocolate. And I'm telling you, both were so good. And it's to the point where it's so dark that you don't want a whole lot. So it's like instant portion control. But it like hits that spot, like when you need a chocolate hit.
Yeah.
This stuff is super good.
Oh, it sounds good. I'm gonna have to check that out. I
Yeah.
think you guys may have mentioned that on one of your shows.
Yeah.
Did you mention?
And,
Okay.
but if you don't want to go so dark, if you don't want to go 90%, they have a 75% that's super good too. And it's spelled TAZA, dark
Okay.
chocolate. Crazy good
Okay.
stuff. Yes.
Cool. Can you get that at like Whole Foods or do you know?
Yes. Yeah. You could get it at Whole Foods or Natural Grocers or Sprouts or anywhere like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna definitely go and check that out. That sounds something up our alley for sure. We love the super dark, like 90% chocolate. So thank you for that recommendation. That sounds delicious.
The other thing that I would recommend, I'm writing an article right now on fish oil and
Ooh.
like the benefits for the brain and how it affects our moods and our ability to get rid of anxiety and depression. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the world needs fish oil right now. So I would recommend there are lots of good brands of fish oil, but the company that I work for sells a type that is very high in EPA and DHA, which are the omega-3 fatty acids that are so much more beneficial than anything else. And that's what will give you the benefits. And so I recommend high quality fish oil too.
Oh yeah. And that reminds me I need to take mine today. I love taking my fish oil.
Yeah.
Is it the kind that you guys have? Is it the liquid or is it the capsules?
We have it in capsules. And,
Yeah.
for the longest time, I always just thought fish oil was for old people with achy joints. Wrong. I was so wrong. I did not realize. And yes, I'm an old person now and I need it for my achy joints, but I did not realize the impact that it would have on my mood and my brain. And I'm telling you, Lisa, I am a different person. It is
Ooh.
weird. I am so relaxed these days.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot to get me fired up or sad about anything.
I love how you brought that up. I love how you brought up how fish oil helps with mood because
Yeah.
that's what the research shows. I'm so glad you brought that up. So thank you for, reminding us and that like bringing that up. Do you also find yourself eating more fish, like more salmon or anything like that?
Chris he does all the cooking in the family, not because I don't want to. I love cooking, but he just takes over. And so I'll be standing there with a spatula, just waiting for him to tell me what to stir. But he cooks trout and salmon, and he cooks those once or twice a week. So yeah.
Yum. Okay, we're coming over now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, please do.
Yummy.
You have a
Love
place in
salmon.
Colorado anytime.
Oh, thank you. Oh, do not look the way things are going. We've talked about if COVID-19 during the school year, they can't go back to school. I'm like, well, let's just pick up and homeschool and travel around the country.
Yes.
So, I mean, and you never know. I'm open to the idea.
Awesome.
Okay, I have one more question. So if you could turn back time and talk to your 20-ish-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I think I would tell her that getting sleep is a priority and de-stressing is a priority and weight training is a priority. I would also say plugging into a community, whether it's your church or your gym, all of those are priorities, and not thinking about getting ahead in your job because your job is going to change eventually. Like
Right.
I went into communications and broadcasting thinking that that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And that wasn't the case. And so I wish I hadn't put such a big emphasis on that,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that necessary.
I hear you. I would tell my 20-something-year-old self something very similar. So I love that. And, if we didn't have the life experiences to get to where we are today, because of the experiences that we've had that have brought us to where we are today, we can give our 20-something-year-old self that wisdom and that advice. So, oh gosh, that's so perfect. So, okay. So if people want more Dani Shugart in their lives, how do they get more Dani? Where should they go?
Well, so I guess if they are podcast listeners, I don't want to get people tired of hearing me say the word, so check out the podcast, but I'm also on Instagram and you can find my articles on tnation.com. But yeah, Instagram is just Dani Shugart, my name. Okay. It's a weird last name.
Awesome. No, Dani, this has been so much fun having you on the show and, picking your brain about fitness and strength training and sharing your experiences with our audience. So I hope you guys will go and check out her show and give her a follow on Instagram. Yeah. And I'm just so grateful. So thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. Well, that's this week's episode of the Midlife Magic Podcast.
Don't forget to join us next time for another episode. Thank you for listening.